Hey guys, what's going on? James here, and in this video today, we're going to be talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers matchups to watch for their Week 10 game versus the Carolina Panthers. Let's get right in, started talking about some of these matchups. The first one is going to be Mike Davis versus the Buccaneers front seven. It has been reported that Christian McCaffrey will not be playing in this upcoming game versus the Buccaneers this Sunday, and he will now be replaced as the starter by Mike Davis, who we saw a little bit towards the end of the Carolina Panthers-Bucs game the first time these two teams played each other, and I thought he did a pretty decent job in garbage time. And really, since that game, Mike Davis has gotten a ton of work while McCaffrey has been dealing with a lot of injuries this year. I mean, it's unfortunate to see. You really don't want to see anybody get hurt, but this is going to be a major headache for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that will not be playing in this game, that being Christian McCaffrey. But I will give credit where credit is due. I have been really impressed by Mike Davis this season. And I think when this upcoming offseason does come around, he's going to make himself a good bit of money from either the Panthers or another team as a high-tier backup, maybe even a little bit of a fringe starter as well. He has been very solid filling in for McCaffrey so far this year, both as a runner and as a receiving back, and he's going to be going up against, yet again, what is a very strong Buccaneers front seven. Now, they did slip up, they did crack a little bit versus the Saints, but I do expect them to rebound, hopefully, if everything does go well, but we did see a little bit of, some cracks in the armor, of this Buccaneers front seven in terms of their run defense, and, it really does show that, yeah, they are going to be missing Vita Vea for the remainder of this year. We started to see that a little bit. We'll see if they can rebound here against Mike Davis in this Panthers running game, but yeah, I will give credit where credit is due. Mike Davis, in my opinion, has had a very decent year this year. The second matchup worth keeping an eye on is going to be Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore, and Curtis Samuel versus the Buccaneers secondary. I already talked about this trio of wide receivers the first time the Buccaneers played the Panthers, but I will mention it again here. I really do like what the Panthers are doing with their three wide receivers. I think that Robbie Anderson is a very, capable, solid wide receiver one here in the NFL. I think DJ Moore is a very solid wide receiver two, fringe wide receiver one if you need him to be on a certain team. And then finally, Curtis Samuel is a great third wide receiver who can play outside and play a little bit inside as well. I think the matchup between the Panthers wide receiver core and the Buccaneers cornerback room is so good. It's so interesting. It's so fun to watch because they match up so perfectly. You've got your physical guys. You've got Carlton Davis versus DJ Moore. You've got your speed guys, Jamel Dean versus Robbie Anderson. And then you've even got your versatile guys, which is Sean Murphy-Bunting versus Curtis Samuel. Like, these two units, these two top three guys in their respective units match up perfectly. And overall, it was a pretty even matchup last time these two guys played, so we will see if it is either an even matchup again or one position group can get the upper hand on the other. So pay attention to that. This is probably my favorite matchup here going into this game. The third matchup worth keeping an eye on is going to be Mike Evans versus Carolina Panthers starting cornerback Donte Jackson. I just did a take of this just a few minutes ago, and I'd completely forgotten that James Bradberry was on the Giants and not on the Panthers. Whoopsie, my bad, but I replaced it with Donte Jackson. Don't you worry. And the reason I put this matchup here isn't so much because, Mike Evans going up against Donte Jackson could be interesting because they have a history there or something along those lines. I mean, they do a little bit, but not a ton. Donte Jackson's a very young cornerback here in the league. But I put Mike Evans here because I've heard a lot of things from the comment section, from social media, from other fans about Mike Evans, and a lot of it's split. I've seen a lot of people say that Mike Evans deserves more touches. I've seen people say he doesn't need more, targets or touches or whatever you want to say because Tom Brady's just going to throw to who's open. And I've even saw the media ask Bruce Arians and some of the other Buccaneers coaching staff about it. And just today, actually, as the recording of this video, the Buccaneers wide receiver coach went ahead and said that he's not too worried about Mike Evans getting, more targets thrown his way, and he's just going to let the chips go where they fall, basically. But Bruce Arians had said just a day or two earlier that he would like to see Mike Evans get more targets. Now, there was no negative emotions, no negative context to Bruce Arians' words. He's not mad at Tom Brady for not throwing the ball more to Mike Evans. He would just like to see Mike Evans get the ball more because he knows Mike Evans is a very good wide receiver. There's no hate there, okay? I'm not going to spin that narrative because it's completely false. But, you know, even in the Buccaneers coaching staff, like, there's a split on Mike Evans getting more targets. You know, it's a very interesting thing. Mike Evans, his touchdown numbers have been very solid this year. His yardage numbers, not so much. I don't even think he's close to on pace for 1,000 yards so far this year. So we will have to keep an eye on that moving forward. I think that with the presence of Antonio Brown and hopefully finally getting a fully healthy Chris Godwin back should help out the overall, you know, coverage that Mike Evans has been getting. I know he's been getting double teamed or double covered a lot. You know, double covered a lot this year. Can't speak. But the point is that Mike Evans has been getting double covered a lot this year. Hopefully with the presence of Antonio Brown and the recovery of Chris Godwin should take away some of that pressure that he's been getting and maybe get some more opportunities for Mike Evans here down the stretch here of the second half of the season. The second to last matchup I want to mention here is going to be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers pass rush versus the Carolina Panthers offensive line. And while I was talking in my Clay Matthews video, I mentioned this. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have been blitzing a ton this year, like a metric ton of blitzing has been done by this team. They are by far the most blitzing team in the NFL right now today. And it's very interesting because whenever the Buccaneers are not blitzing, I haven't been insanely impressed overall with their pass rush. I definitely feel like it could be better, which is why I made the Clay Matthews video. But I want to see how they do here versus the Panthers offensive line because they did good the last time the Buccaneers pass rush played this Panthers offensive line. Not just in the case of blitzing, but also in the case of whenever they're only sending a 3-man or a 4-man rush. They've done a pretty decent job along the defensive line and along the linebacking core as well. So I'm going to be looking for some type of continuity with that. Hopefully they can continue to do some good things. I'm sure the Panthers offensive line will have some different tricks up their sleeve. Hopefully the Buccaneers pass rush will as well. But finally, guys, the last matchup we are going to be talking about here is probably the one that a lot of you guys want to talk about, and it is Byron Leftwich, the Buccaneers offensive coordinator, versus Eric Washington, the Panthers defensive coordinator. Now, I'm going to be very careful about how I word this because you guys have been blowing up in the comments section the past couple of days about the offensive line and Byron Leftwich. That has been the two main just blow up points in the comments section, and I do not blame you guys. The offensive line did not play good versus the Saints. Byron Leftwich was completely just outclassed in that Saints game by Dennis Allen and the Saints. I mean, it was absolutely laughable to watch. We all know this. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about that Saints game, but I just wanted to make that point there. So moving forward, and really just kind of thinking about the entirety of the first half of the season, there's been multiple games where I've had people say to me, in terms of Byron Leftwich's play calling, that it's looked very vanilla, it's looked very plain, and I'm seeing more and more people ask for Bruce Arians to take over play calling and just make that switch. I don't think that's going to happen, because I think that Bruce Arians likes the job that Byron Leftwich has been doing so far this year, and while you can say he has had a bad couple of games, you can also make a same argument for saying that he's had a very good amount of games, and at the end of the day, the Buccaneers are 6-3, so those are all things you have to consider, but this is going to be important. I mean, if another defensive coordinator just completely outclasses Byron Leftwich here in terms of play calling and situational things and all those things that go into the X's and O's of the NFL, I mean, something might have to be done there. If Byron Leftwich just has another complete collapse 2 games in a row, then that is definitely something that you have to think about there. And people pointed to the Giants game and said that that was a collapse. That was not a collapse. That really wasn't even close in my opinion. But I will say the Saints game did not go good for Leftwich. Let's see how he does now versus the Panthers. And if he performs well, then okay. But if he doesn't perform well, then we will definitely have to consider some things here for the remainder of the season in terms of play calling and things like that. Now, or Bruce Arians may have to. I don't know if you actually would pull the trigger on that and take away play calling from Byron Leftwich, but I guess you never know. But anyway, guys, that's really going to be it for this video. Let me know your thoughts about all the matchups that I talked about here down in the comment section below. What are your thoughts, and what are some other matchups that you guys are going to be keeping an eye on? Let me know your thoughts again. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Hope y'all enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video or the next live stream. But until then, and as always, guys, goodbye for now, and go Bucs.